The history of the chicken, Gallus enus, remains interesting. Scholars agree that they were bred naturally by the Gallus gallus, a wild bird in Southeast Asia, most likely mixed with G. sonoracei. Closing parenthesis. That happened about 8,000 years ago. Recent research, however, suggests that there may be a number of cursing events in remote areas of South and Southeast Asia, China, Thailand, Burma and India. Since the wild ancestors of chickens are still alive, many studies can examine the behavior of wild and domestic animals. Domestic chickens are less active, have less social contact with other chickens, are less aggressive to become carnivores, and are less likely to go to foreign food sources than their wild counterparts. Pregnant chickens increased adult body weight and simple plumage. Domestic egg production from scratch is frequent and produces large eggs. Chicken separator. The earliest available chickens came from the Sichuan region, till 5400 BC, in northern China, but whether they were raised locally is controversial. Evidence of chickenpox could not be found in China until 3600 AD. No. There are chickens in the Mohenjo-Daro district in the Indus Valley around 2,000 meters. And chickens are found in Europe and Africa. Chickens came to the Middle East, starting from Iran in 3900 BC. White. Followed by Turkey and Syria, 2400-2000 BC, and into Jordan by 1,200 meters. The earliest solid evidence for chickens in East Africa is images from many places in the new country of Egypt. Chickens were imported into West Africa several times to the Iron Age, such as Geno in Mali, King Kong in Burkina Faso, and Dabuyu in Ghana in the middle of the Commonwealth. White. The chickens arrived in southern Princeland at about 2,500 meters. And in Iberia around 2,000 meters. Chickens were brought to the Polynesian islands of Southeast Asia by sailors from the Pacific Ocean during the Lapita expansion about 3,300 years ago. While it has long been speculated that chickens have been brought to the Americas, Spanish tortoises have been identified in several locations across the Americas, particularly at El Arenal 1. In Chile in 1350. Chicken. China? Two long debates in chicken history remain, at least unresolved. The first is the first presence of chickens in China before the date from Southeast Asia. The second is whether there are pre-Columbian chickens in America. Genetic studies in the early 21st century first mentioned many origins. The first archaeological evidence came from China around 5400 BC. White. In areas of geographical prevalence, such as Qishan, Hebei Province, 5300 BC, Bixin, Shandong Province, 5000 BC, and Xi'an, Shaanxi Province, 4300 BC. In 2014, a number of studies were published that supported the identification of early chicken farming in northern and central China, Shang et al. However, their results are still controversial. A 2016 study, Ida et al., quoted below, of 280 bird bones reported that chickens from the Paleolithic and Bronze Age in northern and central China found only small arms. Only one can be defined as chicken. Peters and colleagues, 2016, examined the environmental safety system in addition to other research and concluded that habitats provided for wildlife were not initially present. The researchers found that chickens were more common in northern and central China and may have been imported from southern China or Southeast Asia, as evidence of greater domestic consumption. Based on those findings, although Southeast Asia has yet to be identified, events of Chinese existence seem unlikely. Chicken in America. In 2007, Alistory researchers and colleagues discovered what appeared to be chicken bones at El Arenal 1 on the Chilean coast in a context dating to pre-Spanish colonialism in the mid-16th century. 1321 to 1407 White. The pre-American Columbian relationship of South America by the Polish sailors remains a slightly controversial notion in American archaeology. However, DNA research has provided genetic support in chicken bones from El Arenal containing haplogroup, which was identified on the island of Istanbul, which was developed by the Poles around 1200 BC. White. The DNA trace clusters defined as multigreen included A, B, E, and D. Tracing sub equals haplogroups, Lazuriaga nera, and colleagues, outlined below. Found only in East Asia and one from Easter Island. The presence of E1A, B, in the Epiphany and the Elaine Allen pigs is an important piece of genetic evidence supporting the pre-Columbian presence of pollen chickens on the coast of South America. Further evidence suggests that correlation between South American and Polynesian corpses was identified in the form of old and modern DNA of human skeletons in both locations. It now looks like the chickens in El Arenal were brought in by Polynesian fishermen.